Happy January 1st, 2020, New Year's Day. We made it. We made it, thankfully. So, given that it's the start of a new year, let's take a look back at the old one before we move forward. This is today's 2020 OmniJen, a litany of bad headlines that you probably don't remember and worse jokes you wish you could forget. On a programming note, I had 200 subs for a hot minute here, and then I released a video and everybody ran away. I guess that's fair. But please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube so I can get back up to that number that makes me feel good inside for at least a little while until I need more. Let's get into it. So let's turn our attention to January, the year's Monday. We were first told that this would be a bad time when Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash with 8 others. Millions were left without a man's name to shout as they tried to make a basket using a crumpled piece of paper. On January 21st, the first case of coronavirus was confirmed in the U.S. But your cousin was sick then, and he's pretty sure he had it too, so maybe that's just not true. On January 22nd, President Trump said the virus was under control. He also reported to be crossing his fingers at the time. On January 31st, Facebook began removing bad information about the coronavirus, including instructions to drink bleach. But I suppose they could have been joking too. On a personal note, I did a stand-up set at Second City in Chicago. It was one of the last shows before quarantine. So if you're on YouTube, I'll put a card right there. And if not, you'll have to go look in the description. But there's a link to it. It was a good time. So now we're in February, the shortest of the long months. In case you already forgot, Donald Trump was impeached and then was not convicted by the Senate. Most Republican senators could be seen going, "La la la, I can't hear you, la 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 la." But votes started in the U.S. presidential race. In Iowa caucuses, Pete Buttigieg won. Eventually, this made him the first gay man to win a presidential race, which is kind of neat if you view it abstractly, but it is still Pete Buttigieg. First American to die of coronavirus happened on February 6th. What a hipster. On the 7th of February, Donald Trump was being interviewed by journalist Bob Woodward about the coronavirus. He said that this is even more deadly than a strenuous flu. This is a deadly stuff. Later, Trump said that these statements were fake news by some previous younger, unwiser loser, Donald Trump. Also in February, the Boy Scouts of America filed for bankruptcy after a series of settlements for sexual molestation. The Catholic Church remains unimpressed. But in March, the pandemic seemed to hit its stride. That's when, asked about its endurance, the virus recommended Powerade. In proof that 2020 wasn't 100% terrible, Harvey Weinstein ended up going to jail. But it was really terrible because 25 celebs got together and sang Imagine badly and released the video on the internet. Anyone who died from coronavirus before this point pretty much got off easy. April proved us all fools. Tara Reid accused Joe Biden of sexual assault, which many noted was an escalation of his admitted hair-sniffing behavior. He ended up winning the nomination anyway. But the Pentagon released a UFO video and nobody seemed to notice or care. What a weird time this is. We're in May. May means that we finally reached something I can't avoid talking about. The Black Lives Matter protests. With occurrences varied as the Central Park birdwatcher and George Floyd. Remember watching that cop kneel on that guy's neck and watching the other cops look on? Remember our president saying things like, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts"? This seemed like a very dark time in the year, and it was, but yeah, I'm just not going to joke about it. What I do know is that murder hornets turned out to be far less of a big deal than we thought. Turns out the murder hornets were in police uniforms the whole time. On June 2nd, a bunch of people betrayed that they didn't understand basic hashtag searching because they did Blackout Tuesday. And instead of anyone being able to find out information about Blackout Tuesday, they just saw a series of black squares of people changing their profile pictures. Some defended their actions by saying the new profiles pictures saved on electricity. I don't buy that. On June 6th, Donald Trump held a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma. This ultimately led to the death of Herman Cain in the name of the economy. Praise cash. Also in Trump doing bad shit news, Trump had Bill Barr clear out the Lafayette Square with tear gas so he can have a glamour shot picture of him holding a book he didn't want to read. Apparently he was upset many people would set up their cameras in front of their bookcases, and he wanted to join in. The Russian bounty program also came to light. This gave an incentive from Russia for insurgents to kill American troops. Trump spokesman said that the bounties would help keep troops on their toes and keep their numbers lean. July. What happened in July is that the Democratic National Convention in Milwaukee was canceled. I was scheduled to perform comedy in Milwaukee that week, and I wanted to meet Sarah McBride. Also, any chance I had to flirt with hot liberal lesbians turned out to be ruined, thanks COVID-19. In August, the Jacob Blake shooting happened. It was in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and the protests acted like a racist dog whistle, calling up Kyles from Illinois to protect other people's property. The rap group Naughty by Nature released a statement that said they are sure glad that this wasn't a thing back in 1991. And another thing you forgot, the city of Beirut was rocked by an explosion that leveled half the city and left 350,000 people homeless. They're still in need of help, but Flint doesn't have clean water either. So now we're into September. Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, and Amy Coney Barrett was nominated and pushed through. People pretended to be surprised when Mitch McConnell worked with Trump to push her nomination through, but we all know that he had no real morals.
Scotaligious.
Or anything. But at least we got a bit of schadenfreude. When the White House suffered a COVID outbreak, 53 people, that's like a lot more than the 15 he said that would end up getting it before. Ultimately, this ended up reaching the president in October. He survived, apparently. But before Trump even got sick, he participated in what marketers called a debate. On September 29th, anti-Trump protesters were actually kind of embarrassed for the president, leading some to say, "Is he okay?" October, we remember Trump catching COVID. Remember the hope in the air. Remember Googling for the spelling of Schadenfreude again. Remember when he was flown to Walter Reed. Remember his little parade when we all kind of knew that he was going to be fine. So some of us were kind of sad and felt bad about being sad. Remember that he was reportedly on a lot of drugs. And when he came back for the second debate, he seemed better, but anything could have been better. What was the first debate? This led to anti-Trump protesters resuming their previous calls to fuck Trump. You know what? You know who remembers the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot? Gretchen Whitmer, probably. And in November, finally, Tuesday, November 3rd, give someone $1 day. Were you looking forward to it? If you didn't get to it, you know what to do, right? It was also, I guess, Election Day in the United States, if you pay attention to that kind of thing. Well, at least 155 million Americans voted for president and other officials. Joe Biden won the popular vote, but because this is America, that don't mean shit. It took a few days and a bit of hair and gnawed fingernails, but Joe Biden was eventually declared the winner. Trump's refusal to concede led to one of those phrases that will live on in our consciousness forever, like 9/11, or a day that will live in infamy, or where's the beef? This one, though, is Four Seasons Total Landscaping Press Conference. Remember, that was a whole month ago. And finally, December, the Monday of the Fridays of the year. Vaccines came. Just a little late for Trump, but some people wanted to give Trump credit anyway. These are people that we know hate scientists. And the Electoral College finally voted and ensured that Joe Biden would be the winner, probably, of the presidential election. There were some shenanigans which led to the whole Congress insulting the American people with $600 checks. I mean, we'll take it, but it's not like we can find a PS5 to buy anyway. Now, just a week ago, we had the Nashville bombing on Christmas, which also included learning that last year, cops locked up the girlfriend of the bomber for telling him he was making bombs. And we just had a shooting in Rockford just after Christmas, and we still don't know why. Probably that he was stuck in Rockford, but there's 250,000 people around here. There's not that many shootings. Come on. And finally, we have a shitload of cowards who did their year-end list before the year's end. That's it. That's the news at Jen for the whole fucking year. That's everything. If you're thinking about your favorite news headline, be it Trump's pardons or Israel normalizing relations with several Middle Eastern countries, or Portland's protests, or the Seattle's DMZ, or Cyberpunking 2077, or the rise and fall of the whole streaming service Quibi, or Parasite winning the Best Picture, or Birds of Prey being a far better Suicide Squad movie than the other Suicide Squad movie, and the Ukraine International Airlines flight PS752 being shot down by Iranian military, or the show The Good Place finally ending pretty well for all things considered, or the start of a good podcast called Working It Out, or Africa being declared free of wild polio, or that the bushfires in Australia killed 1 billion animals at least, and that was just a couple weeks after that the whole continent seemed to be flooded, and then California seemed to be on fire the whole summer, at least partially because of a gender reveal party, or that locusts invaded Africa and Asia, or that the president discussed dismissing the whole COVID thing in great detail with Bob Woodward, and then nobody cared after 2 news cycles. Well, it's been a whole fucking year, and you can write those jokes because I'm taking a nap.